Hello everyone, this is Reggie Time, and I just want to draw some conclusions from the Tankroll management that I was doing the other week. Um, I haven't continued it into the month of March because I want to get back to playing my usual games, especially as I've got some time off, which is going to allow me to put lots of volume in and hopefully have like a really good profitable month. So the Tankroll challenge it's kind of off now. I might go back to it later in the year, but I doubt it. It was something that was interesting to do. It gave me something to think about, and hopefully put me in a position where I could advise others about the merits of it. As some of you know, I was pretty leery of this when I started it. I wasn't a big fan of it. I thought, well, it's too aggressive. It just promotes gambling, and doesn't really instill solid poker values. But I've changed my mind a little bit on that, and I think it might have some merit for the right people during the early stages of it. I do believe that once you get through the 25 and L stage, the goalpost should move a little bit from the original Tankroll management matrix, because the difference between 10L and 25L is pretty big, and in most cases on most sites the difference between 10L and 15L is brutal. It's the games are like chalk and cheese. So I don't think you can go from 10L to 15L in like maybe a week or 2 weeks and expect to have a deal of success doing it. I've probably chatted to more microstakes than anyone down the years, or certainly more than anybody I know. And one of the biggest challenges that we face as microstakes players is and one that we fail to overcome quite often, is remaining motivated whilst trying to practice like traditional hardcore bankroll management. I mean, as much as it makes financial sense to grind it out at 2L, 5L, 10L, etc., it's difficult. I mean, trying to grind like 5L from say a $100 base until you have $500 to play 10L, and then grind 10L until you have like $12.50 to play 25L. In reality, that grind to most players, it's just too tedious. It becomes demotivating, too time consuming, and eventually it just doesn't seem worth their effort, and players either find something else to do, just walk away from poker because it's too boring for them. They find something else to do, or in the worst case scenarios, they just punt off the roll while they're bored. They just get rid of this, like lose the money, and then maybe a month or two later they're like, "Oh, I want to get another shot at that again," and that rinse and repeat it, because it takes its time to do it. Of most of the guys I've worked with that didn't make it, I'd say it's a good guess that most of them stopped playing because the boredom that goes with proper bankroll management and how long it takes to build a bankroll from a very low base is just, it's very, very hard to overcome. I mean, many recreational players, certainly a lot of the guys that come to me, they maybe have just 10 hours a week to play. You know, maybe some have more, but 10 hours a week wouldn't be, it's probably a fair number for a lot of people, and to play and work on their game. So imagine those guys that are coming in with $150 to start with, playing 5L, and if they have an expected win rate of 5 big blinds 100, which lots of guys don't have, there's lots of guys have like low win rates and that, but assuming you have a win rate of 5 blinds 100, even if they're like 4 table in Zoom and like fucking hardcore grinder, and most people aren't doing that, but assuming they are, they're still like only 5 buy-ins per week for them, or $25 a week, and even those guys are still 14 weeks away from being able to move from 5L to 10L, and that's getting like, that's getting pretty high volume in over like the small amount of hours that you can play. And there's lots of guys that aren't playing 1,000 hands per hour, and for those guys it could take maybe 6 months to move from 5L to 10L. Like, even assuming if a player can play 20 hours per week, which is a pretty big commitment for most recreational players, there's still 7 weeks at 1,000 hands per hour, and 3 months if you're playing like 4 to 6 regular tables before you can move from 5L to 10L. And when you see that time stretching out in front of you and your goals seem so far away, it can be difficult to like motivate yourself to log in and play every day, or just not take these like unstructured aggressive shots that ultimately quite often spell doom for you. That process can be, and is, for many players, just completely soul destroying, and probably kills off more poker careers before they even start than anything else I can think of, apart from like the DJing guys who never really had a shot. For the guys that don't have any other income, mostly students, young parents, or people in low paid jobs, etc., they can either get on that grind or maybe find another hobby, because it's one or the other. You can't you can't really use the Tankroll kind of techniques if you only have one bullet, and when that one bullet goes, you're not going to have the financial capability to reload. Tankroll management, if you're one of those guys, isn't for you, and unfortunately for you, you just have to get on that long grind, and you have to just accept that's the way it's going to be. And if you struggle with that, maybe you're best off just withdrawing your money and just doing something nice with it, or just treating poker literally as a hobby with no like sort of like putting any sort of time constraints on anything you need to achieve. Just have it. It is what it is. I have $100. I want to try and spin it into 1,000. It might take me all year to do so, but it's an interesting hobby. If you can do that, great. If you want to move it more quickly but you don't have the capability to reload, then maybe right now at this point in your life, you might find better things to do with that $100. I wouldn't advise being too aggressive if you don't have the money behind you to do it. I also wouldn't advise being too aggressive if you are taking the Tankroll management technique and you do have the capability to reload if it goes too wrong. I still wouldn't advise being too aggressive when you hit the games that are 2 limits up from where you are, from your base point, because it's pretty likely that number one, your edge is going to be vastly reduced in those games, and that number two, you're just not going to be ready for them because you haven't played in those limits before. You're playing for new limits, usually 2.5 times what you're used to playing, because 10 and up to 25, and that's obviously quite a big leap in terms of like the money involved. So you're going to have a reduced edge. You're not really going to be ready for them, and you need to be pretty well prepared. You want to be making sure that you are genuinely a winner at the 10 and up games to do that, because if we don't, the volatility of moving up and down quickly can be a pretty tough load to bear. I think it's fine to aggressively move from 10 to 25 and L, but when you get from 25 to 50, you might want to think about maybe putting more traditional bankroll management, or certainly move towards more traditional bankroll management kind of techniques. So my advice of like how to do this from somebody who has got the capability to reload $100 bullets more than once would be: you start at $100. When you get to $200, you take a shot at 25 and L. If you drop back down to $100, move back down to 10 and L. If you get to $500, then you can think about taking a shot at 50 and L. But at 50 and L, if you drop to 350, don't allow yourself to drop too far, because if you drop from 500 back to 200, it can be like the rebuilding process can often feel like way too demotivating, because you've undone too much of your previous good work. Undoing like 4 buy-ins at 25 out of 100 is not too bad, but when you get moved to 50 from 500 out of 200, you can be like, just pissed off $300 there, and you can be quite cheesed off with yourself, and it can lead to quite a lot of mental game problems. So I'd say 500, take your shot at 50, but move back down at 350, so you're only 625 and up buy-ins from being able to take your shot again. Hopefully following that type of bankroll management plan will kind of take away some of the aspects of grinding that demotivates like so many players, and hopefully gives players goals that they can see within touching distance, because we don't want to be setting too many goals that are just too far away for us, that you just feels like, well, you're grinding and grinding and grinding towards this like little speck in the distance. You kind of want the next step in your poker career, your next step in your poker life, to be within like 3 or 4 weeks distance in front of you, not 3 or 4 months distance in front of you, because for many people that 3 or 4 months just seems like too long of a time. Now, in the past, I've advocated super stringent bankroll management, and I still do to guys who are financially challenged. But everyone's different, and I now genuinely believe after doing this that those are the financial capability to reload bullets at the lower stages, and also, and this is very, very critical, also have the ability to beat the lower limits. If you're losing 10 and L player, then doing this makes no sense. You need to be a proven 10 and L winning player. I think you guys can absolutely take more aggressive bankroll management lines, so long as you have the discipline to stick to the rules about moving back down, and don't just like spin off and bust the rest of your account trying to like quickly move back up to where you were. So I guess, because I don't want to be too long with this, the cliff notes of all of this are kind of effectively this: if you have a limited bankroll and you're unlikely to be able to reload, then you just have to stick to traditional bankroll management. Or you just take your one shot. If it goes wrong, then I guess that's you and poker finished. It really is your only option if you want poker to be a long-term hobby for you and not just something that you take like a random spunky $100 shot at when $100 means a lot of money to you. So if you're the guy that struggles for money and you want poker as a long-term hobby, or eventually create an income stream of it, you're going to have to do it the hard way. You're going to have to like grind it out and put the hours in the early stages and hopefully get rewards in 6 months or 12 months time. However, if you are in a sound financial position, busting your balls at the lowest limits, especially if you don't find that grind particularly stimulating, can often be counterproductive. It might not be as good for you as your first thought, and taking more short but hopefully structured, aggressive shots at games that you expect to be plus EV in might just work out really well for you. And if nothing else, hopefully it'll increase the thrill of the ride and give you more experience that should eventually stand you in good stead when you do take your shot at the higher limits and make it stick when you do take your shot at 25 and you have the 10 main heater and then the heater continues to 50 hopefully then you can make it stick, and when you get to like the 50 and you've got the 1k or the 2k, hopefully then you can start practicing proper bankroll management, because when you reach 50 it's a sort of thing where you can build a bankroll and withdraw to spend some of your hard-earned winnings. Not everyone wants to play poker forever and like just grind and never spend some money. It's nice sometimes to just say, you know what, I've had a really good month, I've made $1,000, I'm going to withdraw 500 of that and I'm going to treat myself and the wife and the kids to a weekend away, or I'm going to do this or that, I'm going to save some money, whatever it is. Eventually you need to be taking some money out and putting some money back into your bank. We can't just be constantly grinding to play higher and higher limits. Think about where you want your poker to be, think about what limits you want to get to. Try and get there with a structured, aggressive bankroll management, and then start enjoying the fruits of your labour. Because if you don't, if you never withdraw any of your winnings, you never spend any of your winnings, you never enjoy any of the fruits of your labour, and you're just constantly like charging to the highest and highest, higher and higher limits, you will go broke eventually, and you'll put a lot of work in and gone through a lot of money for not too much reward. So yeah, I hope you guys I've got something from this. If you've got any questions, please do get in touch. And yeah, I think we'll leave it there, and goodbye for now.